Hi guys, this is the first episode of Normalising Life with me and my friend Adam. Say hello, Adam.
Hi guys, how are we doing?
So on today's podcast, it's literally just telling you what's going to go on during the podcast and what we're going to talk about and why we're doing it.
Yeah, so obviously the podcast in itself, me and Rob we've known each other. Obviously, our friendship has been more virtual than, like, we met in person, we met in Bali.
So 20th century,
then,
so 20th century.
And then, obviously Rob living in Italy and me living in good old Yorkshire. We haven't really spoke that much apart from when we were on Gili Islands, have we? No. So, but both our love of fitness has kind of kept us in touch, and yeah.
It was mad how we met. It's just on a random island. The size, I think it was, what size is it from one of my to another? It's like 30 minutes to walk from one side of the island to the other.
Yeah, you can run round it, can't you?
And then I met this guy. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, I know, yeah. Well, maybe if the podcast takes off, mate, you never know. It could have been a very good thing.
Yeah. But so the podcast, it's all about normalising life, which I think is a very important aspect in life that no one really does as much as they should. Is embarrassing things that happen to you and happen to other people that it brings them down and they don't want to talk about it and they think they're weird for it, but really it's fucking normal. Like, as I said in my Instagram story the other day, everyone's pissed their bed. Like, everyone has. There's no point of fucking lying about it and telling you've never done it. So yeah.
I think with the world of Instagram and stuff and like people showing the highlight reels of the life, it's very much about, well, that's what a lot of people do, isn't it? They just show the highlight reels of the life. They don't show the times that they're feeling shit. They don't show the times where a random Polish guy expects you to give him 200 quid. But
we'll get to that though.
Yeah, get to that. It's like all these kind of random things that happen in your life that it's not a highlight reel. Life isn't a highlight reel, and shit happens to people. So we want to make that normalised and take it from our point of view, and hopefully get some guests on and get them to normalising these big not celebrities, but like maybe influencers.
Yeah, influencer people who everyone looks at as being exponential in what they do, thinking they can do no wrong. But if you can get someone on this telling them that they've done something that you wouldn't expect of them, it would make them feel a bit more normal, makes everyone else feel a lot more normal as well.
Yeah, it just puts everyone on like a little bit more of a playing field. And I think it's one thing that's really important to me, especially in like making content and stuff, is that I show like all aspects of my life and don't just show kind of like, this is when I'm feeling great and lifting PBs in the gym or whatever, but when I'm maybe feeling a bit down or I've got this other stuff going on and whatnot. And I notice it, and sometimes that I'll be even guilty of saying that I don't post stuff when you're feeling down like that, but still knowing that it's normal to feel that way.
And to be fair, in your job as well, because you're doing so much video and videography, you literally have to post. Even if you are feeling shit, you have to post. It's your job. You get clients from doing this, so kudos for doing that. Cause I'd find it really hard with days that you don't want to sit in front of a camera. You have to sit in front of a camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that is one of the main points. Really, is that people that kind of invest themselves in doing it, you need to invest yourself in doing it. You need to make videos. You need to be making content, no matter how much you might be feeling shit that day. And that's part of one of the things that I think is really important. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah,
and that's what normalising that. It's that I think especially with, you're in lockdown again now, aren't you? I'm in lockdown again now. And I think normalising that feeling of it's okay to talk to people, it's okay to ask for help, and that we all do these. On the other side of it, we want to take it down more the comical route of telling these stupid stories that everyone's got and stuff.
It's just spying people's faces. I started doing this 4 or 5 weeks ago. I just went on from I just felt like I wanted to make people smile today, so I'll go on and tell something that's just embarrassing about me, and hopefully it'll make people laugh. And it did. It worked, and that's why I'm doing this, to be fair, because people got onto it, people loved it, and it said you should start a podcast. And I, even now doing this, I'm shaking like a shit dog. It's just not my thing. And
it's like, do you want to start, Rob? Shall I start? Do you want to start?
please start.
Yeah. We've been sat with a recording system going for like 5 minutes before we were even like, let's just start.
Yeah. But he didn't want to spoil anything. He's like, I'll tell you, I'll go to say this. I mean, I'm not going to tell you. I'll save it for I want to see your actual reaction.
Yeah, no, it's so true, and it's like we're gonna be trying to make this like cover a lot of platforms. So in audio format, it's going to be on Spotify, going to be on Apple Podcasts, all the other different podcast streaming services, and then we're going to be making visual as well, so there will be stuff on YouTube. So if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you're checking out the audio and vice versa. Higher for audio, higher for video.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about how me and Rob, how we met, and
kept in
seeing
touch.
that random guy, that random guy on the Gili Islands in the CrossFit Wonderlust Fest. And then to now, obviously, like, we've developed our friendship over social media, so it's kind of like, it's obviously an important part of our lives, but we just want to like normalise how people feel, because we talk shit to each other all the time. So it's kind of like,
and it makes you feel better when you talk about this stuff, like telling each other things that you never really tell other people, and makes you feel great.
Yeah, if you can make someone laugh or you can brighten someone's day, that's the main idea about why we want to do this in the first place. And hopefully know that it's like, oh, I've had something like that happen to me before, and then knowing that it's just completely normal. Yeah,
which is a good thing as well, because then we can get other people to send in their stuff, which one of the sections is going to be where you guys listening can send in your stories that's happened to you, and we will share it on the podcast anonymously. No one's gonna know who you are. You can even send it
unless you want.
You can just
it's like, unless you actually want to come on, and you want to tell your story on your own. We can always
do that too. You get double
like
points
for
that for sure.
Yeah,
because it takes massive balls, like watermelons.
Watermelon balls to get that going. But yeah, I say the idea is we're just going to have kind of a chill chat. We're going to talk about some of our funny experiences, some of our funny stories today, and kind of talk about a little bit about what's going on in the world, because we all know it's a little bit messed up right now. And just like I say, normalising everything, talking about all this crap, getting it out in the open, and just normalising it a little bit. And then, like we say, going forward, we're going to try and make these weekly as much as we can to start out with. I think we should be all right for that. And just kind of checking out some different stuff that's going on, and hopefully you guys enjoy it, you guys like it, and we can get going from there. So we kind of want to get into our first little section. Do you want to tell your embarrassing story, or shall I go first?
I think you should go first, because yours is great. I don't think I can beat it.
Right, so this one, like, I messaged Rob about this actually, like, earlier in the week. It only happened like 3 or 4 days ago, and basically I'm selling a house at the minute. So my grandma died just before the whole lockdown thing started in March, which is really shit, but it leads on to the story.
As if you're justifying that.
I don't know how do you even talk about that without it sounding.
But it led to this, so it's all okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Granny.
Oh no, and I feel really bad now. No, it's nothing like, I don't know. I'm gonna just go into the story anyway, but. See, this is normalising it anyway. You say something you don't mean that sounds crap anyway. So anyway, so when my grandma passed away, we renovated her house. So over the last lockdown, I renovated her house, and me and my now ex-girlfriend went into that house, and we lived there for a couple of months. So there were loads of stuff in the garage, basically, and loads of old furniture and whatnot that needed selling. So now that the house has come to the point of where we were handing over the keys, we were like, okay, we need to clear the garage. So I put it out on Facebook as like a lucky last minute thing, saying, does anyone want to buy this as a job lot? There's loads of furniture, there's a tumble dryer in there. Surely if you want to flip it and turn it around, it's going to make a profit. And then a guy replied to me, and it just was a little bit weird right from the start, the way he replied to me, but he basically said, yeah, I'll come for the job. And I was like, okay, so you want the job lot then? You want to buy everything? And he went, yeah, £200, yeah? And I was like, Yeah, 200. Yeah, 200. That's my asking price. Yeah, £200. That's great. I thought I were expecting a little bit of like barter and back and forth about it. Like I was expecting to get like 100, 150, but you always put on a little bit higher anyway. And then so the guy came 2 days later. It's like 7:30 at night, so it's pitch black. It's freezing cold as well. And he comes with his wife, him and his Polish wife. And
is he Polish as well?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And it was just like, it was so quick about everything you were moving at. Like when you put someone in fast forward, like that's
rapid.
what he was moving
Polish
like.
are good workers, to be fair. They do like to work hard.
Yeah. And anyway, we cleared out the garage, and like we were clearing everything. I was lifting boxes and whatnot, and he had like these really like good, like almost like Amazon bags, what I can imagine they put all the parcels in, that was really sturdy and strong to put all the loose bits in. And anyway, once we'd got the garage clear, he grabbed a sweeping brush and started sweeping the garage.
Fucking beast job.
Like, God, this guy's well nice. He's sweeping the garage for us. And then after he'd cleared it all, the garage had been swept. It were all looking really nice. He's got all this stuff in his van, like a load of crap in his van. I go to him, yeah, so £200, yeah? And he looks at me, and I look at him, like 5 seconds go by, about 10 seconds go by, and he's like expecting me to whip out money for him, thinking he was going to clear the garage and clear, like, it was a clearance job.
Like labour, you thought he was getting paid the labour to move everything out. Where did he put all the stuff? In a van? He was going to take it to the dump or something? Or take it?
Well, that's the thing, it's like, we were talking to him whilst they were taking everything out, and he was like, oh, there's some good stuff here, I'm going to be able to put some furniture in my house. And I was like, oh, when he was saying that, I was like, oh, sweet, he's got like the right end of the stick at least. He knows that this is a selling job, this isn't a come and clear it job. And then anyway, after we'd gone through that whole conversation thing, he would just like put his head in his hands, and he was like, oh my God, I can put it all back for you if you want. I can put it all back.
Exactly the way it was.
I can't pay £200 for this. I'll put it all back. And I was like, no, mate, I don't want it put back now. I need to hand over the keys for the house in 2 days. I do not want this shit going back in the garage.
So you got the money?
Yeah. So this is the best bit. Is that so he thought he was coming to do the job for £200. And what he left with was a garage full of shit. The tumble dryer didn't even work, but I told him it did. And then he paid me £100 for everything. Oh. So this poor guy thought he was getting a job, like a nice easy £200 job. Took him half an hour to clear it out, and he just paid for a lot of shit.
How did he deal with that? Like, just imagine him and his missus in the car after, just looking at each other like,
yeah.
Wait. We were something wrong here. How did that happen?
It was just so funny, like that 5 to 10, well, it felt like 10 seconds of silence just between us while he were expecting me to bring our money out and give it to him.
He's probably like, well, at least we can go back and dry our clothes. And then he goes to turn it on, doesn't work.
Well, it's like, that's the problem with it is that it works, so he can plug it in and he can put his clothes in, and it goes, it turns, it just doesn't get warm, so it doesn't actually dry them.
So it definitely does not work.
It doesn't, but
it's just a clothes turner.
Yeah, it's a clothes turner, yeah. But it was just like the story in itself, I just thought was brilliant. Like again, that bringing it back to like the normalising lifestyle thing, is that this Polish guy has completely misunderstood the meaning of what a job lot is. Because obviously from my point of view, a job lot is you're buying it all as one go. It's not a job for you to do.
He's obviously not accustomed to the average eBayer. He's not the average eBayer, no, that's for sure.
Yeah. But that's kind of what it were aimed at. It were like, okay, there's loads of like China and stuff. There were probably £200 worth of China there, but I just can't be arsed listing it all, waiting for it all to sell and sending it off. I'd rather someone just go, here you go, you deal with it. I'm expecting like someone to come from just kind of a pawn shop style thing and just be like, hey, I'll bang everything out.
But it's a win-win situation for you. Like you're on the winner.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't even have to sweep the garage. It's done now.
Peace.
So yeah, that was kind of my story, and that happened like 3 days ago. So that was
Yeah, I can't beat it. I'm just gonna say the one that happened on my Instagram. So I told on my Instagram, for anyone who watched my Instagram, I'm sorry for telling the same thing again, but it leads on to the next bit. So basically, I told the story of how I went to Dubai. Whenever I was living in Saudi, I went to Dubai quite a lot because Saudi's so shit and there's nothing to do, no drink, no girls, no anything. And I was 22 years old. That's like basically two of the things you want in life is beer and birds. Like, so yeah, so I go to Dubai quite a lot, and I ended up meeting a girl over there, and so I hit it off, and then went to see her a couple more weekends after that, and then it was one weekend I was going back to Ireland from Saudi, and I had a flight booked from Saudi direct, and I thought, right, I'll change this to go through Dubai, and then Dubai back to Ireland like 3 days after, and spend like a long weekend in Dubai with her. So I got there, and my friends were on the same flight, so I was happy days. Got to chill about with my mates in the flight, and then got to the hotel, which is well out of the way as well. It wasn't even in the middle of the Dubai, it was outside because she lived more outside as well. So give her a text saying, do you want to meet up, or what's the crack? And there, she was like, I've got food poisoning. I was like, right, fuck's sake. You can't really argue with that, like, good food poisoning, you get food poisoning, anyone can get it, you've no excuse. So I was like, right.
No, you don't want to be around,
yeah.
Don't want to be around anyone that's got
exactly.
it coming out of both ends, do they?
Well, one end I can sort of deal with, but two is a no-go. Anyway, so my mates were already in Dubai anyway, so I said, right, I'll meet up with my mates tonight, and then I'll meet up with you tomorrow or something. She was like, fine, yeah, and then, so I didn't text her again, and then went out with my mates, got steaming, and then the next day, I give her a text saying, so what's the crack? You coming out? And she was like, coming out to play? No, I said she's coming out, and then she was like, nah, I've still got food poisoning. And I was like, right, food poisoning doesn't last this long, like, it just doesn't do it. After a day,
it's in and out your system.
Yeah, exactly. So I said to her, right, just cut the shit. What's going on? She was like, oh, so I've met someone else. And I was like, fuck's sake. It's the first day of a four-day trip in Dubai. I'm well out of the way to see her. I'm well out of the way, so I can't even go into the middle. And then, well, I can, it's a big taxi drive. And then I ended up just spending the whole 4 days in the hotel room, just fucking depressed as hell because she bailed on me. Got like the biggest pie ever in the histories of pies.
So shit.
Traveling 1,500 miles to fucking see this girl, and she pied.
Mate, that is
brutal.
I don't. Yeah, it's like, I say, like, I'd love to go to Dubai and see that area, so I'm sure there were plenty of shit to do, but currently going through a breakup right now, it's like, I know how shit it is, so when you're getting kind of like pied off like that.
It turned out the guy she went off with was Danny Ings as well. He plays for Southampton football. Like he's absolutely mental. He's probably on like fucking 60 grand a week. Like, yeah. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy women, and that could make you happy.
Women make you happy. Yeah.
But anyway, so this story, I told this on Instagram, and then a friend of mine, whose name will not be spoken because the story gets a little bit dark. So he got in touch with me saying, mate, that's nothing. Try 3,500 miles to San Francisco to find out that it was a lot more than what you'd done. I'm like, what? So I was like, explain. And so he went to Las Vegas with his mates just for a big bender, and he got there out in the night out, obviously, and then we were at the bar, and a girl came up to him and said, have you seen my mate? And he pointed across the bar to this Puerto Rican bird, like smoking hot. And he was like, whoa, happy days. And so they ended up getting drinks, like chumming about. I asked him, do they have any Coke? And he was like, yeah, I do actually. So they ended up getting wiped out, getting drunk, and then going back to their room where they did the business and all that sort of gear. Try to keep it as much PG as I can here, but it's going to be hard with this story. It's fucking vulgar.
You can't keep much. I mean, I only heard like the very basics of this story from you.
So I had in a day, I had an awesome weekend, had a really good weekend, and she said to them, right, you need to come to San Francisco because that's where I live and I'd like to see you again. But he was going home like a couple of days after, so he says, right, I'll see if I can get a flight from Ireland and come out to see you. Oh shit, I've released you from Ireland. Shit. I mean South Africa. So he got back home. I think it was 4 or 5 weeks after. He was like, fuck it, let's go to San Francisco. So booked a flight to San Francisco, flew over and met up with her, and he arrived with her having 6 bags of not just like normal cocaine but big rocks the size of a golf ball.
Bloody hell.
He was like, how do you get all this? Like, this is like a ridiculous amount. And she was like, oh, this is my job. That's what I do. He was like, oh. It's like, yeah, I'm a drug dealer. I'm a drug dealer. And she's like, it turned out she was in a gang as well. Like, so she sold drugs in this gang. And he was like, right, I'm not going to let it spoil my weekend. I'm still going to make the most of it and get busy with her, blah, blah, blah. And so she turns around and says, right, I'm going to have a good weekend, but I need to go to work still. And he was like, oh, no sweat, what do you do? She was like, well, I work in a fetish place. I can't remember the name for it. There's a name for it, but I can't remember. A fetish house? I want to say fetish house. So it's her job to like take people into this fetish house where people like dress up as dogs and wear fucking gimp suits and like scuba diving gear while they do like erotic things. And she was like the hostess with the mostess. So this is her daily job. And he's just sitting here with 6 bags of coke with this fucking fetish dealer. Like, what have I got myself into?
What a job title, fetish dealer.
Fetish dealer, yeah. Fetish/drug dealer, gang member, fucking shit. Like, but that's where I really cut off the story. You were just telling me this before I got on this podcast, so maybe just have to fill you in after crazy, that, but that's crazy. Imagine getting over there.
If he wants to come on and come on the podcast and divulge into any more details, and be more than welcome.
Do you know what? He would definitely get on the podcast, but now I don't think he'd come on without me mentioning here. Well, what was it like? What was it like?
That's so crazy.
You can never show his face or name. He knows who he is, though. I'm going to look him in the eye. You dirty piece of shit.
No, that's brilliant, and obviously that story is kind of like at a high level of what we're expected from people.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be happy with like shitting themselves somewhere or something like that, but no.
I mean, I've got a great story about that, but we'll leave that
for yourself?
Another.
I love a good fucking poo story, like.
I think we'll potentially leave that one for another. We can do a whole episode around shitting yourself.
Oh, I'll be a shit episode that.
Oh, the puns, the poo puns would be awesome. But I think the way that we're either going to work this with kind of listeners sending us in potential clips in the future is we're using a platform called Anchor, believe, to distribute our podcast. Breaking the fourth wall here, and basically there's a little bit on there where people can. We'll leave a link in the description of the podcast, and you can send a voice note or a message to that, and we can either play the voice note on the podcast, or if you send it to either me or Rob on Instagram, then they'll be linked in the description as well. We can then read them out or tell the funny stories on
it doesn't even have to be funny either. It could be like something that happened to you. You're just like, what the fuck? But you're just scared to tell it in person, and I'll tell it, no worries. I'm not a bad storyteller, and I like telling a good story.
Yeah, it's like the coming back to the shitting myself story. It is horrible for me, but it's hilarious for anyone listening to it. So that's that story is it'll be a funny one for a future podcast there as well. But I
actually remember last time I shit myself. It's a long time.
It wasn't recently.
Yeah, it was last week, wasn't it?
When the Polish guy were in his van.
Brilliant.
That's why he was so shocked he didn't get his money out.
It was actually in the tumble dryer and it was just spinning around.
That's what's drying his clothes.
Just doesn't dry. It just comes out all brown.
I think it's also worth noting that we're wearing exactly the same top as well.
That wasn't even choreographed. That was
It wasn't.
I mean, we both want to wear
it's
hybrid because
the same.
this is the brand to have.
Yeah.
Hybrid Academy.
Yeah, of course it is.
Look it up. If you haven't got one, get one.
Today's podcast sponsor is.
It will be sponsored by anyone. Every time it'll be sponsored by Hybrid.
Every time
because it's mine and I can do what I want.
Yeah. Can we do a discount code, like a Normalising Life for 10% off or something?
Yeah, why not? I need to put it in. I mean, by the time we post this, it'll be live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Normalising Life, 10% off.
Yeah.
There we go. Now you're getting discount for the. Obviously, like this is like we'll talk a little bit about your brand then as well. Isn't it? It's like a little bit of a. Go on, I'll let you talk about it. I don't know about me describing.
Yeah.
it.
So Hybrid Academy, whoever doesn't follow me is my best friend John. We made this brand during quarantine, purely because we wanted to do something in the fitness industry for a long time, but we never had the time because of our jobs. Kept us time constraints. It's just we didn't have the time for it. But whenever lockdown happened, we had all the time in the world, and we decided to put our heads together and try to get our way into the industry somehow. So we came up with Hybrid Academy and put a lot of work into it, and like a lot of work during quarantine. And then whenever we went back to work, it hit us like a fucking train, and we realised we can't keep up with it all. But we tried our best, and it worked out really well. And we came out with really high quality products that are doing really well at the minute, and we couldn't really complain about it. Especially during coronavirus, like we'd love to be able to go to events and stuff, but we can't even go to events. Like there's no events on.
Yeah.
But eventually
It's
we will.
kind of like what I love about it is like obviously you brought me on with the stuff really early on, like one of the first people really, wasn't it? And it's like I love being a part of the brand that is the community as well. So it's like the Hybrid Academy is the brand, and then that hybrid mentality is kind of the idea that you're pushing. And I think it's really cool. And it's like that there isn't just one element of fitness. There's no point just being strong. There's no point just being like people can train together and you can be functional. Like I do a lot of mobility stuff on like my Instagram and using like my physio background and stuff, and then that links in really well with doing like Olympic lifting and the CrossFit side of stuff. So it's like bringing all them other things together. I think it's awesome, and it's good to have people from all these different backgrounds in there as well. So
yeah, absolutely, and that's what I wanted to do. I want to create a bubble. Well, both of us want to create a bubble of a community that grows in that bubble, and then whenever we get to a point where the people are outgrowing the bubble, if they do outgrow the bubble, we'll just let them go and flourish and do whatever they need to do. But they'll always remember us as the core of what started them.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that.
It's like, and I think that's awesome. It's like I say, like there were talks about doing the meetups and stuff, or be COVID pendant and all that kind of stuff. But I can't wait for them kind of things. It's going to be great for content. It's going to be great for like my vlogging, YouTube stuff, the actual brand hybrid, and even the podcast when we can actually get to a point of maybe record one in person together.
Oh my god,
it'd be awesome.
So weird.
Yeah,
Actual people? What?
I know.
They exist.
Actual human contact. I know, yeah.
But yeah, love like even the satisfaction that's came from the brand so far, like meeting so many new people. We went to London during, I think it was August or September. We went to London, met so many fucking awesome guys competing in the turf games, the little mini tournament that we were supposed to compete at the big turf games, but it all cancelled, as you know. But yeah, the people we've met so far is just phenomenal, and it's only the start. We've only been running for a month and a half. Like we only launched a month and a half ago. That's
crazy.
Bonkers,
that
isn't it?
time.
It feels like 7 years. The stress. My hair is falling out. That's why I'm wearing a hat. My fucking hair is falling out.
Yeah, that's why you're against when we said let's do visual as well as audio.
Yeah, I know. Come on, not. Can I wear a mask? It's Halloween.
No, but I think that's kind of a good spot to wrap up this first kind of episode. We've kind of done a little bit of an intro. We've got through our bits and bobs, and we can kind of wrap everything up there. So the chances are we probably will be making Normalising Life, everything social media wise, like maybe a Facebook, I don't know, a Facebook page, and Instagram or whatever. For we don't know yet.
Yeah.
This is very
we're winging it,
yeah.
Best way to do it.
Yeah, but definitely going to be on YouTube, so you can check out the podcast visual wise on YouTube. So hi for people who are watching on YouTube, and then obviously listen on all of your podcasting platforms, whether it's the Google one, there's some other ones that I don't really know the name of, or the main two, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So I believe that's everything, mate.
Yeah.
Shall we sign off?
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, and much appreciated.
Yeah, catch you in a bit, guys.
Bye bye.